How's it going, everyone? It is Stats here today. We got ourselves a banger matchup between two not only historically, contentious franchises, but two franchises that are hungry for a championship. We got my New York Knicks and we got the Indiana Pacers, right? This team has got a lot of history in the 90s and the early 2000s with Reggie Miller, with Patrick Ewing, with Carmelo Anthony, with Paul George, and now we got Brunson versus Halpern. Two superstars that are coming into their own. That, honestly, whoever wins, in my opinion, I feel like is going to have to face a really tough OKC squad or a really tough Minnesota Timberwolves squad. But anyways, given the first three games, New York took the series against them 2-1. However, I will say with caveats though, game 1 and game 2, they were early in the season. So even if you look at film from those games, even in game 3, you're not going to get a lot of good substance out of those games, mainly because in the first two games they play completely different in terms of how they're playing now. And in game 3, you had major injuries on Quinn and Miles Turner. So neither team really was at full strength. Knicks didn't even have Mitch, who has been a major X factor in terms of the Knicks defense, just shutting down Boston, shutting down Detroit, along with OG, along with Mikal Bridges at the wing. The Knicks have been solid on defense. Now, my opinion is that this is going to be one of the closest series so far in this entire playoffs. OKC and Denver has had some lopsided feeling games, and I think probably the next one down from it in terms of two very even teams would be New York versus Detroit. Now, in this first game that we got from the Knicks just balling out from the 3, getting a bunch of rebounds and getting a lot of second chance points. Game 2, the script's kind of flipped, in which the Pacers do their Pacer ball. They love playing from the 3. They love essentially drowning the opponents in volume, in which they can't catch up. Their mindset is the bigger the lead that we have, as long as we make effective and efficient shooting, not only with all of our starters, but with our huge depth, either the opponents are going to be gassed out with their starters, or if they cannot make as many threes as we are, and they're going to try and match our game, they're always going to be on the back foot, and it's just going to lead to a win. And the one good thing about Indiana is that they love fast pace. They love playing shots. They're one of the fastest paced teams in the league, as well as one of the fastest paced teams currently in the playoffs. They were like this last year. They were, I think, what was it, the second fastest in terms of pace. Now they're 7th, which is still very good. It's still very high tempo. But one of the things with that is that when you're constantly trying to play this high tempo, it can lead to inconsistencies. And we've seen with Indiana at times is that they'll have cold spells. Well, they won't be scoring much within 5-6 minutes. They'll maybe score like maybe 2 points, 4 points, whatever. Well, the opponent, like for example the Cleveland series, they'll get a 15-0 run, and they'll essentially just look at the Pacers being like, yo, did you forget how to shoot basketball? You grab the ball and you shoot it. You got to do that from 3 or even from the mid-range 2 or a layup or something in order to get some points on the board. And now we see with game 3, it's, I would say, somewhat similar to game 1. However, it is more close in terms of points, as well as, I would say, Knicks did get a decent amount of personal fouls, as well as they love their second chance. They love their second chance ball. Knicks love to get a lot of rebounds. They like to get a lot of second chances because they're not good on the fast break. You know, if they're caught lacking, Cat ain't gonna catch up to the defenders all the way out in the front while he is stuck on the opposing restricted area. So it's just they prefer to just be like, hey, let's get the shots that we can, and if we can't, let's try to at least get them in. Now, as we see with the Indiana Pacers, they beat both teams in 5 games, and honestly, Indiana versus the Bucks, it wasn't even close. And I would say it's mainly just due to injuries. I would say with Dame, one of the prime second mans, with Giannis, with Dame being injured with DVT, as well as having that Achilles tear, uh, no way Bucks were even going to make it far into the playoffs. I think if Bucks have made it to the playoffs, not in playoffs, make it to the finals and win it, it'd be one of the most improbable runs I would say that a team has ever had, especially with one star essentially carrying the entire load of the team. And unfortunately, Giannis cannot do that. I mean, you had Kyle Kuzma going in for 22 points with 0 points, 0 rebounds, and opening up a bagel shop because all he was giving out was zeros, according to me, Doc Rivers. And now you got yourself the Cleveland Cavaliers that, yes, can go toe for toe in pace with the Pacers. However, Mobley was injured, Garland was injured. But not only that, they've had solid leads of like 15, like 20 points. They've had solid leads, and they just couldn't close it out. They couldn't close it out defensively. They were falling apart at the seams. Game 2 was just a confidence destroyer for the team. And in my opinion, it was kind of like the nail in the coffin. You know, I was thinking, you know, maybe Cleveland can step up, you know, come back from the injuries after game 3 into game 4 and maybe flip the script onto the Pacers. But game 4 was a blowout. Game 5 was just as bad as a blowout. And now Pacers are in the ECF once again. Now, a lot of people are saying that, oh, Pacers, they're playing injured teams. Well, I'll be honest, dude. Like, Knicks have had some key injuries with them as well. I mean, look. Let me just do that. Yep. I mean, yes. They took the Celtics and the Pistons to 6. And to be honest, like, yeah, you have, I think, Isaiah Stewart on the Pistons as well as Tatum on the Celtics, both injured, which are, I would say, Tatum, an extremely key player for the Celtics. However, the Celtics, even with them being very deep, with Porzingis, even though he was being sick, with Jaylen Brown, with Pritchard, with Derek White, Celtics had every opportunity to essentially wipe the floor with the Knicks. But they choked. They choked both games at home. And Knicks come back with wins. The Knicks are known as the comeback team. Where, yeah, their third quarters are terrible, but their fourth quarters are dangerous. Brunson is the clutch player of the year for a reason. Sure, he can have terrible points throughout the series in which he gets costly turnovers. I mean, look at him. 16 turnovers on average against the Pistons and 15 against the Celtics. Great teams can capitalize on that, capitalize on his ISO play in order to shut him down. Same with Cat, dude. Cat against Detroit, only 8 turnovers in the series, or 8 turnovers on average, but 16 against the Celtics. That's insane, especially for a big man. You know, it's never good to have like all these turnovers because every single turnover that you get, that you give for the opposing team, is an opportunity for them to essentially take the lead and to either chip away at your lead or to blow it out even further to just make you lose all your confidence. But with that being said, you know, OG, Mikal Bridges, crazy good defense. Uh, Big Mitchell Robinson stepped up in terms of defense. Josh Hart, he's not the biggest. He's not the biggest shooter. He's not. He's essentially the Swiss Army knife. He's essentially our version of Pascal Siakam, where, yeah, he's not the biggest shooter, but god damn it, you see the ball and he will chase that ball like he is a literal dog. He's like, no, that's my ball. That's my ball for my team and not yours. I mean, let's look at the shot charts. One thing that you'll notice on the shot chart, big red for Brunson. But if you notice carefully, Brunson has a ton of volume in terms of shooting. He's the engine for their offense. If Brunson's cold, the Knicks offense will stall out. Yes, Mikal Bridges has good efficiency. Yes, OG, when given the rock at the key or into the corners, he's going to make them at a very generous point. Cat, he's not going to be known for shooting in this series. I mean, due to an issue with, his thumb or his finger, I think during the Boston series, I think he injured or broke it. Which is unfortunate because he's a really good three-point shooter. And to be honest, with him not shooting as much threes as he has in the series, it has hampered the Knicks a bit. But, he's getting a lot of second chance points in the restricted area, trying to get a lot of these rebounds, trying to essentially get the Knicks offense on pace with these higher powered offenses. I mean, let's look at paces. It looks like a stock market on a good goddamn day. It is green, baby. Green, green, green. Honestly, you look at something like Miles Turner, it looks like a nicely kept lawn on a True Green commercial. He has been crazy efficient, and he has stepped up as him as well as Nesmith have stepped up in these past two series as efficient shooters. This makes stat heads go crazy seeing all this green. You have Nembhard doing well. You have TJ McConnell also doing very well. Tyrese is having a bad game. Don't worry. Switch out for TJ, and he'll essentially take up the same role. Same role, same averages. And that's one scary strength with the Pacers, is that they are a hydra. You can take that one guy, it doesn't matter. We have like 3 other guys on the bench that can do the same work that he has. So you need to shut them down from the perimeter. Or at the very least, draw in pressure defensively so that you can get open looks to your guys to at least get some shots on the board. Now, one guy that I would say you should be very careful of is Siakam. He's fully integrated into the Pacers system. He was all right last year, but this year he stepped it up another level. He's more efficient on his shooting, but not only that, he is going to be a very tough assignment for OG. He's going to be a very tough assignment for OG or for Hart. Whoever's going to, be on his assignment, he's going to be tough because he's going to give them a run for their money. Now, given with all that being said, who do I think is going to win it? A lot of stats people say, well, given all the stats and given the high-powered offense and how well this team is doing and that they're white hot, people say Pacers in 6. And to be honest, I'm not calling them delusional. I think they do have solid points at the Pacers. But you could also say that the Knicks have had the Pacers number at times and can, with their slow pace, chew a lot of clock in order for the Pacers not only to feel pressured and to just miss their threes, but also to just not give him a lot of opportunities. They want to get a lot of time on the board and a lot of points on the board in order to essentially build a huge lead. While Knicks like to do the exact opposite. They like to be like, all right, let's play in this, let's mud wrestle, let's get physical. You know, this isn't basketball, this is war. And honestly, I want this to be a fun 7-game series. And I sincerely think that the Knicks are going to win it in 7. I think they're going to close it out. I think they're going to go to the finals. If the Pacers go to the finals, well, I'll be sad. Oh, hell yeah, I'll be sad. I'll be pissed because I know Reggie Miller is going to be talking a lot of shit, especially not only just during the broadcast, but I know he's going to talk a lot of smack talk on social media. And boy, I want him to be shut the hell up. I want him to be shut the hell up. But anyways, I got the sources up top for all the stats that I got. And to be honest, follow your boy on social media. Let's get likes, let's comment, get some subscriptions out. Let's get to 100 subs. Not much, 100 subs. I feel like that's doable. I feel like that's genuinely doable. But anyways, I can't wait for this game tomorrow because I'm recording this late at night. But anyways, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and keep busy.